Boss, I want to talk to you about how to get a no PG startup business loan. Especially, we're talking about having a massive amount, okay? How do you get that? And there is a quick checklist I want you to really think about. Next time you go and ask for a no personal guarantee startup business loan, I want you to think about a few things. So here is the approach I really want you to really have a clear idea about. Now, what is really required to get a no personal guarantee startup business loan? Now, the thing here is that it really depends on the lender. So if you are somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia, or you are in California, or you are in New York, or whatever you are, you have to really think about geography first, because some lenders like to play what I call a local based role. So they want to focus only on startups that operate within a specific state. And some lenders are comfortable actually lending to you if you like. They can be in another state and they don't really care. So you have the local players and you have the national players. So if you are trying to get a no personal guarantee startup business loan, first ask yourself, the lender that you are contacting, do they lend to your specific state? Okay. And it's really important to understand that requirements overall vary by lender, but you should be prepared to actually provide some types of financial information. It can be financial information, but also operational information. Simply because you have a startup doesn't mean you don't have an operational track record. You got to have things that really show that you are a legit startups. Let's talk about the financial documentation first. Well, the lender will ask about your personal credit scores. They want to see your personal credit reports, okay? Because remember, you are asking for a no personal guarantee. So you got to show something. You got to bring something to the table, boss. You got to bring something to the table. So make sure you have a decent credit score. So we're talking here about minimum 600. 575 will get you through the door, not a problem, but 600 will really, really help you out. So minimum credit score is 600. You want to have income on the personal side. So the thing is, if you have a startup, you're not generating revenue on the business side, but just make sure you have income coming, like a positive cash inflows coming from whatever source, or you have, let's say, you have saved some money, okay? Because the lender will want to pay attention to your financial situation overall. So you have you got to think about business forecasts with details. We're talking about financial projections. Okay, this is important. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We're going to have this quick convo about no personal guarantee startup business loan. And there are other things you want to really pay attention to when it comes to requirements to get this no personal guarantee startup business loans. So your tax returns and supporting IRS documentation is really important also. Tax returns and supporting IRS documents. What do I mean by that? I mean that on the personal level, the lender wants to make sure that you are compliant with U.S. tax laws. And we're talking about federal tax laws, but also state tax laws. In other words, you are paying your taxes, boss. You got to pay your taxes. So if you want to apply for a no personal guarantee startup business loan, the lender is worried about you as a risk. And if they realize that you haven't paid your taxes for the last 3 years, for example, this could be a potential risk, because if you were audited by the IRS, this could jeopardize your whole operation. That's why they want to see tax returns. And if you have been in business long enough to file your first tax return for the business, then you want to provide that as well. So let's say you have been in business for the last 6 months, and so you basically file your 1065 along with the Schedules K1, then the lender wants to see that as well. Okay, so what we're talking about here, your credit score, because I really want you to really think about, you have your credit score, you have your business forecast with details on future cash flows. So that's your financial projections. You want to show your tax returns, personal and business if available, right? So for personal, we are speaking about your 1040, and for business, we only have a 1065. So this is kind of cool. So you have this duality here, okay? By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's conversation. The topic we're talking about here is how to get a no personal guarantee startup business loan with a massive amount, no matter what. And so if you have other forms of documentation for your business, you want to provide that as well. So let's say licenses and registrations for doing business in your state. And in some industries, let's say in the healthcare sector, there are industries that are heavily regulated. So the lender will wants to make sure that you have the proper business licenses. This is important also. And there are other elements that the lender wants to see. So again, if you want to get a no personal guarantee start a business loan, make sure that you actually have all the financial documents that are deemed relevant. Okay. For example, the lender will want to see your bank statements. So if you have a startup, I really don't care if you have a startup or you have an established business. You need to have a business bank account. It's kind of funny. Some startups owners, they say, yeah, blah blah blah. I have a check system record, and my ass was on fire a couple of years ago, so I messed up. I effed up big time. I really effed up big time. So now I'm kind of like not on the. I'm on a check system list. Yeah. Do you know that nowadays you have online fintech lenders or online fintech like financial technology institution that will actually allow you to open a bank account without actually checking your check system? So, boss, you have no more excuse. You can't be telling me, hey, listen, yeah, I don't have a bank account because my ass is on check system. No, no, no. Nowadays, you have players such as Bluevine. You have players such as Lily. You have players such as, you have a lot of players that allow you to open a business bank account without regard to your check system history. Okay. But you need to have a bank account, and you might provide bank statements, credit card sales if available, unpaid invoices, and accounts receivable due to you. So the threat you're trying to establish here, you're trying to really show the lender that, hey, listen, if I want to have a no personal guarantee start a business loan, that's because I do have a way to monetize my startup. Like my startup may not have a revenue as of now, but chances are I have put in place the right foundation to make sure that I am segregating, I am divorcing my personal affairs from my business's affairs. Okay, and you also want to think about any legal contracts that would be deemed irrelevant. Let's see, franchise contract, incorporation contract, leasing contracts. You also want to have those because the lender might require that as well. So money, 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 boss. Money, money, money. Talk to me about your monetary situation at the business level, but also at the personal level. Because if you want to get a no personal guarantee, start a business loan, are you kind of like, are you struggling personally when it comes to your personal finances, or are you kind of chilling? And are you doing the same thing like in terms of your business? Like, if you need a loan in the first place, that's because your business's finances are not really that good, but how bad are they? Okay. Are they like bad, 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 or are like they're like relatively bad? And the thing also you really have to pay attention to, if you want to get a no personal guarantee, start a business loan with a massive amount, boss, you got to really assure the lender that you have I just mentioned that before, but you got to really have a business account to which they can transfer the funds. Because the whole thing here is that when you have to understand, when we talk about business lending in general, lenders are very, very careful about anti-money laundering laws, which means that the lender is not going to allow you to get like your $50,000 or $100,000 in cash. No way, Jose. That ain't happening. It ain't happening. If you get approved for a no personal guarantee startup business loan, you're going to need a business checking account into which the lender will deposit the account. Will deposit the money. Okay. So this is why it's important to have a legit business bank account for your startup. There are many benefits to having a business bank account, but I'm not going to talk about them today because we have covered this on other shows. But it's just important for you to receive the loan proceeds, but also to be able to repay the loan proceeds. Not repay the loan proceeds, but to repay whatever you have to pay every month in terms of the loan. Okay, and in terms of you servicing the loan. So this is really important to have a clear idea about that, to actually provide transparency to the lender, so the lender knows, okay, everything is fine. And you also need to have, and this is really important, you got to have an updated business plan with details on your growth and marketing strategies. Okay. Now, not all lenders will require a business plan, but the information in the business plan will be essential to helping you find and apply successfully for financing. And in our view, in our experience, and we do have extensive experience in this matter, boss. Let me give you the steps I want you to follow right now when it comes to reporting income on a credit card application. So obviously you have low income, okay, but you still have some income, right? Something is coming in. Otherwise, you won't be able to live. You will not be able to put food on the table for the for the children, and you won't be able to maintain a decent life. So chances are you have income somewhere. So there is some logic to follow when it comes to putting data on a credit card application in terms of income. So you can actually put things like personal income, scholarships and grants, allowances and gifts, trust fund distributions. So if your great grand uncle or great grand aunt has actually set up a fund for you, and that fund is distributing cash every month or every 2 weeks or every quarter, that actually constitutes income. If you have retirement fund distributions, those constitutes income. Social security benefits, that's the income also. Okay. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a convo about low income, how to get a credit card, how to get a high limit credit card, by the way, and how to qualify no matter what. So the thing is, when we talk about the constellation of income, just make sure that you put the right income. But I want to insist on the fact that I'll never lie on a credit card application. Never, 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 never lie on a credit card application. Okay, especially when it comes to your income, because even if the credit card issuer cannot really find out, it's really bad. It's not only bad from a legal perspective because you could be sued, your ass could be sued, but it's also really bad from a moral perspective because see, you are lying to the lender to give you high limits. But what if they found out later on that you never had that income in the first place? So it's just really bad, and don't do this at all. Okay. One thing I want to say here is that do not forget, if you choose to include the various sources of income that I just listed on your application, you are saying that you are able to use this money to pay back your debt, right? To never include income that you don't have full access to or don't plan on tapping if necessary. So there has to be the money what you're calling income must actually provide revenue for you on a consistent basis. You must have access to that cash. Let me give you the decision that you have to really pay attention to. See, the whole thing here is that when you are looking for if you have low income and you're looking for a credit card, there is some special consideration that you have to think about if you're a student. If you're a student, you got to really think about your income level. And like, let's say you are between 18 to 25 or 24, you are a full-time student or part-time student, doesn't really matter, but your situation is your income is currently low because you're going to school, because you're focusing on your studies for now. But you need a credit card to survive. Let's say you want a credit card to build credit, yeah, and you need a credit card to actually track your expenses. What you want to do here is that you want to be in a situation where you are applying for, you first try to apply for credit cards that are specifically designed for students. A lot of banks and credit unions, for that matter, they actually have credit cards specifically geared towards students. Go for those cards first, because the eligibility requirements are, I would say, they're not as strict as just general purpose credit cards. And what you want to do here also is that you want to actually start with a bank or credit union where you already have a relationship. That way you can parlay that great relationship. Hopefully you can parlay that great relationship into a credit card application, into a successful credit card application. And so, but if you don't have a relationship yet, you can just apply for a general purpose credit card. But just make sure that you are able to either have like you can be an authorized user on somebody else's card for now, so you can just build your credit a little bit before you apply on your own, or you can just ask somebody to co-sign or co-apply for you. That way, you always have the support of a more responsible, of a more credit-worthy applicants. So this is kind of cool. And one thing I also want to say here is that you want to always be in a situation where you are asking yourself, okay, if I qualify for this card, will I be able to repay the whatever I charge on the card? Because it's all about I would say your DTI. So you gotta have a lot of let's say a lot of not a lot of cash, but some extra cash to be able to repay whatever you charge on the card. Let me give you a few pro tips here, and I think I talked about it before, but I just want to quickly I want to really go granular on this point again. So what happens if you report the wrong income? See, when we talk about wrong income, that there are two ways to actually analyze this thing. So wrong income can mean like, okay, you made a mistake, you made an honest mistake. And the second part is that you actually made an intentional, it's not a mistake, but you actually intentionally lied about your income. I explained already the fact that you lied about your income, and this is really bad. You can be actually be prosecuted. You can be sued. Your ass can go to jail. It's really not good. Don't do it at all. Okay. If the credit card issuer finds out later on that you actually lied on your application, they can revoke the card at once. They can actually have there is a constellation of a very, very drastic decisions that they can make. Don't do this at all. Okay. Do not do this. And so that's for the fraudulent reporting of income on your credit card application. But what about, let's say, you actually made an honest mistake? When you make an honest mistake, what you want to do here is that if you actually if you qualify, then it's okay. So in other words, if you made a mistake and the credit card issuer didn't catch it, that's fine. You get the card. But once you get the card, and you set up your account online, what you want to do is you want to log into your account. You want to go into your dashboard, and you want to put the right income in the income box on your dashboard. That way, your permanent records are accurate. Okay, if you made an honest mistake and they didn't catch it, that's fine. But if they did catch it, just say it was an honest mistake and provide a proof of your income, like your W-2s, your 1099. Just tell them, okay, it's not about having a big fuss. Don't make a fuss about the whole thing. No, you made a mistake. It was an honest mistake. You're not trying to game the system. It wasn't as if like you were just sitting around and just say, listen, I'm gonna game the system. No, you did not try to game the system. You made an honest mistake and just provide proof that, hey, listen, here is how much I'm making, and here is a proof. And one thing I want to say before closing into this conversation here is that if you have low income and you need a credit card, I have great news for you. Why? Because up until 2010, 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago, credit cards were issued only by banks and credit unions. So you did have a gap in the market, because if you don't qualify for credit card issues by credit cards issued by those two types of institution, you are toast, right? And or if you have a problem with check systems or telecheck or early warning services, then you are toast. The good thing is that, and the good news is that nowadays you can qualify for a credit card from a fintech. So you have a constellation of fintechs that actually have credit cards on the market. It's really a great opportunity to actually qualify for those credit cards. Okay, so you want to expand your horizons. You want to see if you can qualify for a credit card, for a low-income credit card with a high limit, with other players. For example, you have Upgrade, you have Update, you have Ava, you have a lot of credit cards. I mean, so forget about your traditional lenders, forget about the Chase of the world, forget about the Bank of America of the world, forget about the Wells Fargo of the world, forget about the Citibank of the world, or even forget about the mid-level players. Forget about the PNC, the Truist, forget about the US Bank, the Fifth Third Bank, the BMO, the TT Bank, the Capital One. Forget about those. You want to go with online lenders, okay? And what we love about online lenders in general is that they try to really innovate. They bring their own innovative, I would say, patterns, innovative lifestyle, innovative underwriting style into the whole equation. So they are able to actually look at things like your resume, your education profile to approve you for a credit card, which means that even if you have a low income right now and where you have some kind of solid education, you can still qualify for a decent limits credit card. Okay. And when you really think about this, all you need anyway. You need to have access to a credit card. You need to have access to cash, and you want to make sure that you have access to that cash real quick, if you will, and regardless of your income level. So this is kind of cool. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to qualify for a credit card if you have low income and you need a high limit credit card. How do you actually navigate the system? How do you actually make sure that you get approved right off the bat? And so I give you the overview, the approach, the steps you need to take, the decisions you need to actually think about, and the pro tips. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.